Alexander Voss stood in the dim grand hall of his once magnificent mansion, the air thick with dust and forgotten echoes. The marble floors, imported from Italy at a cost that could have funded a small nation, lay shrouded in neglect, cobwebs draping the crystal chandelier like funeral veils. For 10 years this place had been his prison, a tomb where he buried his dignity one poisoned sip at a time. The wealth surrounding him, original artworks by masters, antique furniture worth fortunes, felt mocking now, hollow reminders of a life stripped bare. He gazed out the window at the overgrown gardens, where weeds strangled the rose bushes and the fountain stood cracked and dry. Nature had abandoned this estate, just as the world had abandoned him. On the side table sat a cold coffee cup, untouched since morning. Staring at it triggered the memories, sharp and unrelenting, like knives twisting in old wounds. It started with Isabel, his stunning wife, whose beauty turned heads and hearts alike. Long legs, a flawless smile, eyes that promised paradise. Alexander had been a fool to believe it was love. She entered his life like a whirlwind, charming him with grace and ambition. But beneath that facade lurked greed. Isabel saw him not as a partner, but as a vault to plunder. She had been having an affair with his business partner, Victor, for months, plotting to drain his fortune while destroying him from within. Every morning, she would hand him his coffee with a sweet smile. "Darling, I made it special for you. You work so hard, this will help you relax." She claimed it contained herbs from her doctor friend to ease his stress and boost his strength. In reality, she laced it with lead compounds, insidious toxins that accumulated slowly, disrupting his hormonal balance and suppressing testosterone production. Month by month, his body betrayed him. The impotence crept in gradually, a wilted flower dying from the roots. The first failure in bed she was understanding. "It happens, honey. You're tired from all those deals." The second time her tone sharpened. "See a doctor, you're not yourself." By the fifth, the mask shattered. "What kind of man are you?" "I have needs, Alexander. Needs you can't fulfill." He tried everything, vitamins, workouts, even therapy sessions in secret, but nothing reversed the damage. The poison worked its way deeper, turning intimacy into torture. Social events became battlegrounds, ironically enough, at his charity gala, raising funds for medical research. Isabel's voice carried just far enough for others to hear. "Poor Alexander," she whispered to a group of associates, her hand on Victor's arm. "He's not a man anymore, if you catch my drift." Laughter rippled through the crowd, polite but piercing. Alexander stood frozen, champagne glass in hand, feeling every eye on him like spotlights exposing his shame. The pity stung worse than mockery. Whispers followed. "No wonder she looks elsewhere." That night across the ballroom, Isabel smiled at him, not with love, but triumph. She had won a war he never knew they were fighting. The humiliation burned in his chest, a constant ember. Nights alone in their bed, he stared at the ceiling after she moved to the guest room, questioning his worth. She spent his money lavishly, jewelry, exotic trips, designer wardrobes, while he said nothing. If he couldn't satisfy her physically, perhaps material gifts would suffice. Pathetic, he knew, but fear of solitude chained him. The breaking point came at another gala. Dressed in blood-red silk, Isabel seized the microphone. "I'm leaving this weak, broken man who can't even please a woman. I'm going with someone who knows how to treat me right." She gestured to Victor, who stepped forward possessively. They strode out together as hundreds watched in stunned silence. The room erupted in murmurs. Alexander fled upstairs, locking himself away. That was the last time he faced the world. Years blurred into isolation. Calls and visits ceased. His fortune dwindled, not from extravagance, he barely lived, but from Isabel's relentless legal claims. Settlements, property disputes, she took what she could, and he let her. Staff quit one by one, unable to bear the decay. The last maid's gentle farewell echoed in the empty halls. Silence became his companion, suffocating and absolute. He maintained only his vintage car in the garage, a relic of better days. He would start the engine weekly, a ritual connecting him to the man he once was. But medical help? Never. The thought of explaining to doctors how his wife poisoned him with lead, how he was too blind to notice, was unbearable. Better to fade into oblivion. Tonight, something shifted. His stomach growled fiercely, a primal demand he couldn't ignore. When had he last eaten properly? The kitchen was barren. A spark of life flickered for the first time in a decade, his body insisting on survival, despite his mind's surrender. On unsteady legs, he headed to the garage. The car gleamed in the shadows. Just for food, he told himself. Just this once. The engine roared to life, vibrating through him like a forgotten pulse. Backing out, the evening sun blinded him, the world sharper than his dim existence. He drove aimlessly into the countryside, away from recognition. Then the storm hit, sudden, furious. Rain hammered the windshield. Thunder shook the car. Lightning scarred the sky. The engine sputtered and died on a desolate road. No lights, no shelter, just darkness and despair. Alexander laughed bitterly, the sound turning to sobs. Is this the end? The universe offered no reply. Through the rain-streaked glass, a distant glow appeared, a beacon in the void. Grabbing his jacket, he bolted toward it, a drowning man chasing salvation. In that moment, fate intervened. The light led to a modest countryside clinic, its signs swinging in the wind. Whitaker Medical Clinic. All welcome. Soaked and desperate, Alexander pounded on the door. It opened to reveal Elena Whitaker, a woman in her 40s with silver-streaked dark hair and eyes of quiet strength. Not young, but radiating a warmth that pierced his isolation. "Come in from the rain," she said, her voice steady and kind. Alexander hesitated, years of avoidance screaming to flee. But the storm raged, and something in her gaze felt like safety. He stepped inside, water pooling at his feet. "I'm sorry, my car broke down. I need a phone." Elena studied him, seeing beyond the surface. "You're soaked and look starved. Dry off. I'll make you something to eat." Her tone brooked no argument. Alexander obeyed, toweling off as she prepared soup. The clinic smelled of herbs and calm. He ate ravenously, the warmth spreading through him like life returning. "The storm won't let up tonight. Stay until morning. I have a recovery room. Why help a stranger? Because you knocked, and I never turn away those in need." She led him to a simple bed. Sleep claimed him instantly, dreamless for the first time in years. Morning brought voices, patience. Elena entered with breakfast. "How do you feel?" "Confused." "Kind to strangers?" "Everyone starts as a stranger." "Your car needs parts. It'll take days. Stay and help with repairs." "I'm not handy." "Everyone can contribute." Alexander stayed, fixing chairs and shelves, his hands remembering purpose. Elena worked nearby, her presence soothing. For the first time, he felt visible, not a ghost. But as the day wore on, doubts crept in. Could he trust again? The haunting legacy of Isabel loomed, threatening to pull him back into the shadows. Yet hunger had driven him here, and now curiosity kept him. Little did he know, this clinic held the key to unraveling his poisoned past, and forging a future he thought impossible. The rain pounded relentlessly as Alexander Voss sprinted toward the faint glow in the distance. His clothes clung to him like a second skin, soaked through by the torrent that had turned the countryside road into a muddy river. Thunder cracked overhead, illuminating the small wooden building ahead. Whitaker Medical Clinic, all welcome. He hammered on the door with a fist numb from cold, his breath ragged. For a moment, doubt seized him. Turn back, hide in the shadows where he belonged. But the door swung open before he could retreat. Elena Whitaker stood there, silhouetted against the warm amber light inside. She was in her mid-40s, with dark hair threaded with silver and a face etched with quiet resilience. Her white coat hung open over practical clothes, and her expression held no fear, only concern. "Come inside before you freeze," she said, her voice a blend of authority and gentleness, like a lighthouse beacon cutting through fog. Alexander stumbled in, dripping water onto the clean linoleum floor. The clinic was modest but welcoming. Wooden walls lined with shelves of medical supplies, a small waiting area with worn chairs, and the faint scent of antiseptic mixed with herbs. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "My car died out there. I need to call for help." Elena closed the door against the wind, locking out the storm's fury. "You're in no state to go back out. Dry off first." She handed him a towel from a nearby cabinet, her movements efficient yet kind. As he wiped his face, another woman emerged from a back room. This was Lan Nguyen, Elena's nurse, a petite woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a warm smile. She had emigrated from Vietnam years ago, fleeing political unrest, and now assisted at the clinic. "Lan, can you heat some soup?" Elena asked. Lan nodded, her accent soft but clear. "Of course, doctor. You look like you haven't eaten in days, sir." Alexander hesitated, unused to such immediate care. "I'm Alexander. No need to fuss." Lan disappeared into a small kitchenette, and Elena guided him to a chair. "Sit. The roads are flooded. No one's coming tonight. Tell me what happened." Her tone invited trust without demanding it. Alexander glanced around, his guard up. The clinic felt like a sanctuary, far from the opulent prisons of his past. "I was driving, got caught in the storm. The engine quit. Simple as that." Elena nodded, not pressing. She examined him subtly. Pale skin, gaunt features, the tremor in his hands. "You need more than a phone." Lan returned with a steaming bowl of vegetable soup and bread. "Eat slowly," she advised. "My family came here with nothing. Food was our first comfort." Alexander took the spoon, his stomach twisting with hunger. The first bite was revelatory, warm, savory, a reminder that life could offer simple mercies. "Thank you," he said, voice cracking slightly. Lan shared a bit about herself as he ate to ease the tension. "I crossed the ocean on a boat, crammed with strangers. We survived storms worse than this. Now I help here because Dr. Whitaker gave me a chance." Elena smiled faintly. "Lan's my right hand. She's seen more hardship than most." Alexander listened, the stories pulling him from his isolation. For years he'd spoken to no one, but these women treated him like a person, not a ruined tycoon. The meal finished, Elena checked the weather on an old radio. "Still raging. You'll stay in the recovery room tonight. It's for patients who need monitoring." "I can't impose." "You can and you will." Her firmness was laced with compassion. Alexander followed her to a small room at the back, a single bed with fresh sheets, a window rattling in the wind. "Sleep if you can. We'll sort out your car in the morning." He lay down fully clothed, expecting insomnia to claim him as usual, but the storm's rhythm and the clinic's quiet lulled him. No nightmares of Isabel's sneers or Victor's betrayal, just oblivion. When dawn broke, sunlight filtered through the curtains, weak but persistent. Voices drifted from the main area, patients arriving for the day's appointments. Elena knocked softly, entering with a tray of coffee and toast. "Morning. How'd you sleep?" "Better than I have in years," he admitted, surprised. "Your car. I've called my mechanic friend. Needs a new alternator. It'll take a few days to order." Panic flickered in his chest. "Days? I should find a hotel." "Nonsense. The town's motels are overpriced and far. Stay here. I could use help with odd jobs. The place is falling apart." Alexander eyed her warily. "Why help me? I'm a stranger." Elena set the tray down. "Because everyone deserves a chance to start over. I lost my husband in a car accident 5 years ago, a drunk driver. I buried myself in work to cope. Helping others, it helps me too." Her vulnerability disarmed him. "I'm sorry." She shrugged. "Life breaks us all eventually. The question is, do we rebuild?" Inspired by her words, Alexander agreed to stay. That afternoon, he tackled a leaky faucet in the waiting room, his hands clumsy but remembering old skills. Lan assisted, handing tools with encouraging nods. "You're good at this. Back home, my father fixed everything with nothing." As they worked, patients came and went. A farmer with a sprained wrist, a child with a fever. Elena treated them with unwavering care, explaining diagnoses in simple terms. By evening, the mechanic confirmed the delay. Alexander felt a strange relief. Staying meant delaying his return to solitude. Dinner was shared in the kitchenette. Simple pasta, Lan prepared. "Tell us about yourself, Alexander," Elena prompted gently. He hesitated, the weight of his secrets heavy. just a businessman who lost his way. Lon sensed his reticence. We all have stories we hide. When I arrived here, I did not speak any English, but kindness bridged the gap. That night, in the recovery room, Alexander pondered their words. For the first time, he felt seen, not as a failure, but as someone worthy of aid. Yet doubt lingered. Could he reveal the poison's legacy? The lead that Isabel had slipped into his drinks, leading to the loss of his manhood. Medical journals he'd read in secret confirmed it. Chronic lead exposure disrupted hormones, causing impotence that therapy alone couldn't fix. Chelation might help, but admitting it meant reliving the shame. Morning brought resolve. As he helped Elena organize supplies, he tested the waters. Have you treated poisoning cases? She paused, perceptive. Depends on the type. Why? Just curious. She didn't push, but her gaze invited more. Lon joined them, sharing tea. In my culture, we believe storms wash away the old. This one brought you here for a reason. By midday, a young mother arrived with her sick toddler. Elena diagnosed a minor infection, prescribing antibiotics. Alexander watched, mesmerized by her skill. You're incredible with them. Elena smiled. Medicine heals bodies, compassion heals souls. Later, as the rain eased, he ventured outside to check his car. Still stranded. Returning, he found Lan alone. Doctors with a patient. You seem troubled. Want to talk? Alexander shook his head, but her empathy cracked his armor. I've been hurt. Badly. Lan nodded wisely. Pain makes us hide, but sharing lightens it. Trust her, she's saved more than bodies here. That evening, as the clinic quieted, Elena approached. Your questions earlier, about poisoning. If there's something you need to share, it's safe here. Alexander's heart raced. The storm had brought him to her door, but opening up meant risking everything. Yet in her eyes, he saw no judgment, only possibility. Perhaps this light in the storm was his chance to emerge from the shadows. Alexander Voss woke to the soft hum of activity in the clinic, sunlight streaming through the recovery room window. For the first time in years, sleep had come without the torment of nightmares. He dressed quickly, the borrowed clothes from Elena fitting loosely on his frame, thinned by neglect. Stepping into the main area, he found Elena reviewing patient files at her desk, while Lon prepared supplies for the day. Good morning, Elena said, glancing up with a warm smile. Ready to earn your keep? He nodded, eager for a distraction from the shadows in his mind. The clinic needed repairs, creaky doors, a wobbly shelf in the supply closet, and that persistent, leaky faucet in the waiting room. Alexander started with the faucet, tools borrowed from a dusty toolbox Lon handed him. His hands, once accustomed to signing multi-million-dollar deals, fumbled at first. But as he tightened the washers and tested the flow, a sense of accomplishment stirred, small but real. Lan worked nearby, sterilizing instruments. You're a natural, she commented. Back in Vietnam, my brothers fixed everything around the house. It kept us going through hard times. Alexander paused, wiping his brow. Hard times? Lan's eyes softened. War tore my family apart. I lost siblings, fled as a refugee. Here, I rebuilt. Dr. Whitaker hired me when no one else would. She's more than a boss. She's family. Elena's voice called from the exam room. Lan, bring the bandages? Alexander watched as they moved in sync, a well-oiled team. By midday, patients trickled in. An elderly farmer with arthritis, a young mother with her feverish child. Elena treated each with precision and empathy, explaining treatments in clear terms. Alexander observed from the sidelines, mesmerized by her poise. She didn't just heal bodies, she mended spirits. During a lull, Elena joined him as he organized the supply closet. You've got a knack for this. The place hasn't looked this good in years. Alexander straightened a row of vials. It's the least I can do. Your kindness, it's overwhelming. Elena leaned against the doorframe, her expression thoughtful. Kindness costs nothing but means everything. After my husband died, it was all that kept me afloat. He looked at her, curiosity overriding caution. You mentioned an accident. If it's too painful, no, it's okay, sharing helps. Mark was my everything, smart, funny, always planning our future. We were driving home from a conference when a drunk driver crossed lanes. The impact, she trailed off, voice steady but eyes distant. He died instantly. I survived with bruises, but the guilt nearly killed me. Why didn't I drive? Why didn't I see it coming? It took therapy to realize that some things are beyond control. Alexander's chest tightened. I'm sorry, that sounds unbearable. It was. I threw myself into the clinic, helping others because I couldn't help him. But it isolated me too, opening up to new people. It's terrifying. What if I lose again? Her vulnerability mirrored his own fears. Isabel's betrayal had poisoned more than his body. It had shattered his trust. The lead she slipped into his coffee, slowly accumulating, disrupting his endocrine system, leading to the impotence that defined his downfall. Doctors he consulted anonymously confirmed it. Chronic exposure caused oxidative stress and hormonal imbalance. Chelation could reverse it, but admitting the abuse meant facing judgment. Inspired by her honesty, Alexander shared a fragment. I've lost too, my marriage, it destroyed me. Elena nodded, not prying. Loss changes us, but it doesn't have to define us. They worked in companionable silence. Alexander repairing a broken chair while Elena sorted medications. Lan popped in with tea. You two make a good team. Like my parents back home, they fixed the world together. As the afternoon faded, an elderly patient arrived. Mrs. Hargrove, a spry widow with a knowing grin and a cane she wielded like a scepter. She complained of knee pain, but her eyes sparkled with mischief as Elena examined her. Alexander lingered in the waiting room, pretending to fix a loose floorboard. You're staring, young man, Mrs. Hargrove whispered as Elena stepped away for supplies. At the doctor's? She's something special. Alexander flushed. I wasn't. Oh, hush. These old eyes miss nothing. She's kind, strong, and deserves someone who sees that. Life's too short for regrets. I lost my Herbert to cancer. I wish I'd told him more often how I felt. Her words hit like a thunderclap. Alexander had buried his emotions for a decade, fearing rejection. But here, in this humble clinic, possibility flickered. Elena returned, bandaging Mrs. Hargrove's knee. There, that should help. Rest up. The older woman patted Alexander's arm on her way out. Don't wait too long, son. Good ones like her don't stay alone forever. Alexander met Elena's gaze, her curiosity evident. What was that about? Nothing, he lied, heart pounding. But inside resolve built. Tomorrow, he'd try to express his growing feelings, awkwardly, perhaps, but honestly. Evening brought quiet. Lon left for home, waving goodbye. Stay strong, Alexander. Elena locked up, then turned to him. Dinner? I make a mean stir-fry. They ate in the kitchenette, conversation flowing more easily now. Tell me more about your husband, Alexander ventured. Elena smiled sadly. He loved adventures, hiking, traveling. We dreamed of seeing the world. After he died, I couldn't even leave the clinic. Fear paralyzed me. But lately, she trailed off, glancing at him meaningfully. Alexander swallowed. Fear's my constant companion, too. The poisoning, I think my ex-wife did it deliberately. Led to make me weak. Elena's eyes widened. That's criminal. We should test you. Blood work could confirm toxicity levels. Chelation therapy with EDTA binds the metals and flushes them out. It takes months with hormone monitoring, but it's reversible if caught in time. Her expertise stunned him. You'd do that for me? Of course, but you need to report it. Justice matters. Alexander shook his head. The scandal. It'd ruin what's left of me. She touched his hand lightly. Hiding won't heal you. Think about it. That night, in the recovery room, Mrs. Hargrove's advice echoed. Elena had shared her pain. Perhaps he could share his heart. But doubt gnawed. What if she rejected him? The next morning, as he helped with breakfast cleanup, resolve hardened. He'd find a way to show his feelings. Maybe a simple gesture, like flowers from the town market. Unbeknownst to him, Lon noticed his distraction. Love blooms in unexpected places, she teased. Alexander smiled faintly. It may be. As the day unfolded, patients came and went, but his mind raced toward action. Little did he know that this first step toward repairing the clinic and himself would lead to a moment of hilarious vulnerability. testing his courage in ways he never imagined. The shadows of Isabel loomed, but here with Elena, light began to pierce through. Alexander Voss paced the recovery room, his heart hammering like a drum in his chest. The decision from the previous night lingered, fueled by Mrs. Hargrove's blunt advice and Elena's quiet vulnerability. He couldn't ignore the pull anymore, how Elena's presence chipped away at his isolation, making him feel human again. But expressing it, that terrified him. Words failed. Perhaps a gesture would suffice. Flowers. Simple, elegant. A white rose to symbolize purity and new beginnings. Morning came too quickly. He slipped out before Elena or Lan noticed, walking to the small-town market square. The air was crisp, locals nodding politely without recognition. Good. Anonymity suited him.
At a flower stand, an old vendor hummed while arranging bouquets. "Help you, son?" Alexander cleared his throat. "Something for a lady. Special." The man selected a single white rose, its petals pristine. "This speaks volumes. Trust me, I've seen many romances bloom." Clutching the stem like a lifeline, Alexander returned to the clinic. Patients filled the waiting room, a couple with a coughing child, Mrs. Hargrove chatting animatedly, and others flipping through magazines. Elena stood at the reception desk, scribbling notes, her hair tied back, focused yet approachable. She hadn't seen him yet. His palms sweated, doubts flooded in. What if she laughed, or worse, pitied him? But retreating now meant surrendering to fear, the same fear that let Isabel destroy him. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. Elena glanced up, her smile lighting the room. "Hey, you disappeared earlier. Thought you'd left without saying goodbye." "I went for a walk. Needed to clear my head." She set down her pen, concern etching her features.
"Everything okay? You look nervous."
Alexander's tongue felt like lead, heavy, unresponsive. The irony struck him. Lead had poisoned his body. Now nerves poisoned his courage. "There's something I need to say, or show." Elena's brow furrowed. "Alexander?" He closed his eyes, unable to bear her gaze while baring his soul. The rose trembled in his hand. "Elena, this is sudden, and I'm probably the last person you'd consider. But you've given me hope when I thought it was gone. Purpose, a reason to face each day without dread." He extended the flower unquestioningly. "Thank you for seeing me, for making me feel visible again." The stem left his fingers. Relief washed over him. He'd done it and spoken from the heart. But when he opened his eyes, horror dawned. It wasn't Elena holding the rose. Mrs. Hargrove stood there, her gnarled hands cradling the bloom, tears glistening in her wrinkled eyes. "Oh, my stars," she whispered, her voice quivering with joy. "At my age, how wonderful." Alexander's blood turned to ice. The waiting room had gone silent, every eye on the scene. Mrs. Hargrove beamed. "I haven't had a gentleman give me a flower since my Herbert passed. This is the sweetest thing." The patients stared. Some smiled warmly, others looked baffled, and one man stifled a chuckle. Alexander realized the mix-up. Mrs. Hargrove must have approached the desk just as Elena stepped away to answer a phone in her office, positioning herself exactly where Elena had been. I didn't mean," he stammered, face burning crimson. Mrs. Hargrove's expression shifted to understanding, then delight. "Oh, bless your heart, this was for the doctor. Don't apologize, you've made an older woman's day." She clutched the rose to her chest, a true romantic. They don't make 'em like you anymore. Scattered applause erupted, genuine, not mocking. From the office doorway, Elena emerged, phone in hand. She took in the tableau, Mrs. Hargrove with the rose, Alexander's mortified expression, the amused crowd. Her eyes widened, lips twitching. Then she burst into laughter, rich and unfiltered, filling the room like music. "Oh, Alexander, that might be the most endearing thing I've ever seen." Mrs. Hargrove grinned wider. "See, your aim's off, but your heart's spot on." She returned to her seat, announcing to the room, "Did you all witness that? A gentleman through and through." Elena crossed to Alexander, who contemplated bolting out the door. "Were you trying to give me a flower?" He nodded miserably, words failing. "With your eyes closed?" Another nod. "That's incredibly sweet, and awkward in the best way."
The patients chuckled good-naturedly, the atmosphere light and warm. "Come on," Elena said softly, guiding him to her office. "Let's talk privately." Inside, the door closed and Alexander stared at the floor. "I'm an idiot."
No, you're brave. She stepped closer. Do you know how long it's been since someone tried something romantic for me? Since someone saw me as more than the doctor who fixes everyone else. You deserve that every day. Someone who isn't broken, who doesn't mess up simple gestures. Elena took his hand. "You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. And that gesture? It touched me more than you know." Alexander met her eyes, seeing no pity, only affection. "You don't know my whole story. The poisoning, it's worse than I said. Then share when you're ready. I'll wait." Mrs. Hargrove's voice carried from the waiting room. "Are they kissing yet?" "Someone shush her." Elena laughed again, and this time Alexander joined, the absurdity easing his embarrassment. "She's keeping that rose, you know. Press it in a book and tell everyone. I'll never live this down." "Good. It means you're living." They emerged to smiles and winks. Mrs. Hargrove called, "Better luck next time, Romeo." Keep your eyes open. The room erupted in gentle laughter. Alexander felt exposed but oddly liberated. For the first time, humiliation didn't crush him. It bonded him to these people. The afternoon passed in a blur. Alexander helped Lon with inventory, her teasing light. "That was bold. In my culture, flowers symbolize new starts. This may be yours." Elena treated patients seamlessly but stole glances his way, her smile lingering. By closing time, as they tidied up, she pulled him aside. "For what it's worth, if you try again, with eyes open, I wouldn't say no." His heart soared. "Really?" "Really, but take your time, healing first." That night, in the recovery room, Alexander replayed the fiasco. The misplaced rose had backfired spectacularly, yet it bridged something between them. Isabel's poison had aimed to emasculate him, but here, vulnerability became strength. Tomorrow he'd confide more about the lead's toll and the need for tests. Elena's offer of chelation loomed as a lifeline. As sleep came, he whispered to the darkness, "Thank you for the mix-up. It saves me." Outside, the town settled, unaware that a tycoon's resurrection unfolded petal by petal in this clinic. The misplaced yet perfect rose had planted seeds of trust, and perhaps love. Alexander Voss sat at the worn wooden table in the clinic's kitchenette, steam rising from his teacup as evening shadows lengthened outside. The misplaced rose incident still hung in the air, a mix of embarrassment and warmth that had shifted something between him and Elena. Laughter had diffused the awkwardness, but now, vulnerability pressed down in the quiet after closing. Elena sat across from him, her expression open, inviting. She said softly that you don't have to share anything you're not ready for, but whatever burden you're carrying, it's safe here with me. His hands tightened around the cup, the heat grounding him. "Why do you care? I'm just a stranger who washed up in a storm." Elena leaned forward slightly. "You're not just anything. You're in pain, and I've dedicated my life to easing that. Plus, after today, that rose meant something. It showed me your heart." Alexander's throat closed. The words he'd buried for a decade clawed their way up. "I used to be powerful, a billionaire, really. Mansions, influence, everything money could buy. But it was hollow without real love. I married Isabel thinking she was it. Beautiful, ambitious, she turned heads, but she saw me as a target. Greed drove her. She was cheating with my partner Victor, plotting to take it all." Elena listened without interruption, her calm presence an anchor. Isabel started with small things. Morning coffee, laced with what she called stress-relieving herbs. She said her doctor friend recommended that they make me stronger and more relaxed. I trusted her, why wouldn't I? She was my wife. But it was lead compounds, deliberate and cumulative. Month after month, it built up in my system, disrupting my hormones, suppressing testosterone production. Oxidative stress, they call it in medical terms. It led to impotence, not sudden, but insidious, like a slow death from within. Elena's expression turned to quiet horror, but no disgust. "Alexander, that's abuse, chemical and emotional." He nodded, tears burning his eyes. "I didn't know at first.
I tried taking vitamins, exercising, and even going to secret doctors. Nothing worked because the source persisted. She humiliated me publicly, at parties, galas, whispered to friends just loud enough for me to hear. He's not a man anymore, can't satisfy anyone. The worst was at my charity event. She announced to hundreds that she was leaving for Victor, calling me weak and broken. They walked out arm in arm while I shattered. The story poured out. The isolation, the financial drain as she claimed assets through lawyers, the staff abandoning the decaying mansion. I never sought real help. The shame of admitting I'd been poisoned, too blind to see. It was unbearable. Better to exist as a ghost. Elena reached across, covering his hand with hers. This wasn't your fault. Lead toxicity interferes with endocrine function, low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, and even mood changes. It's treatable, but what she did is criminal. Systematic poisoning. Alexander jerked back slightly. Criminal? I can't report it. The scandal would destroy what's left of my reputation. Papers would feast on it. Billionaire duped and emasculated. Elena's grip tightened. Hiding protects her, not you. We can start with private tests, such as blood work to confirm lead levels and hormone panels. Chelation therapy with EDTA can bind and remove the metals. If it's as I suspect, it takes 6 to 12 months with regular monitoring, infusions, supplements to rebuild. But physiologically, recovery is possible. Your body's resilient. He stared at her, hope flickering dangerously. You really think so? Science backs it. Chronic exposure depresses function, but removal allows rebound. Combined with therapy for the trauma, yes. But you need to confront this fully, maybe legally. Justice could free you. Alexander shook his head. I'm terrified of failing again, of the world knowing. And now, with you. That rose was me trying to say, you've awakened something. But how can I offer anything when I'm this damaged? Elena's eyes softened, fierce determination underneath. You're not damaged beyond repair. You're a survivor. And that rose. It wasn't about perfection. It was honest. That's what matters. She stood, pulling him up gently. Let's start small. Blood draw tomorrow. No hospitals, just here. Trust me to guide you. They moved to the exam room, where she prepared a simple kit under soft lighting. As she drew the sample, her touch was professional yet comforting. This will go to a discreet lab. Results in days. In the meantime, rest. You've carried this alone too long. Alexander winced at the needle, but felt a weight lift. Why help me like this? Because I see your strength, even if you don't. And I care, Alexander, more than professionally. Back in the kitchenette, they sat again, the confession hanging like cleared smoke. Lon had left earlier, but her earlier words echoed. Sharing lightens the load. Elena poured more tea. My loss taught me that isolation kills slowly. Don't let Isabel win by staying silent. Report her to the police and toxicology reports. It could prevent her from hurting others. Alexander considered it, the idea both empowering and daunting. Victor dumped her after they fled together. She took half my fortune in settlements. But proof, the coffee cups are long gone. Elena nodded. Your blood will show chronic exposure. Patterns, timelines, it's evidence. Think of it as reclaiming your life. That night, in the recovery room, sleep evaded him at first. The confession had cracked his armor, raw but liberating. Elena's promise of chelation loomed, a medical path forward. EDTA infusions to chelate the lead, hormone therapy to restore balance. But the emotional scars? Those needed time. And the legal step? Fear warred with resolve. Isabel's face haunted him, her triumphant smile at the gala. Morning brought clarity. As Elena reviewed charts, he approached. I'll do the tests, and maybe report it, but I need help. She smiled, relief evident. We'll do it together. First, results, then a plan. Days blurred as they awaited the lab report. Alexander helped more around the clinic, fixing a jammed door and organizing files. Lon noticed the shift. You're lighter today. Confession heals. Patients came, a teen with a sprain, an elder with hypertension. Elena's skill inspired him. During a break, she explained more science. Lead binds to proteins and disrupts enzymes. Chelation pulls it out via urine. Side effects such as fatigue are minimal but are monitored. Hormones rebound with support. Zinc, vitamin D. The report arrived sealed. Elena opened it with him present. Elevated lead. Chronic. Testosterone is low but not irreversible. See? Treatable. Alexander exhaled. It's real. She did this. Elena nodded. Now, decide on the next steps. That afternoon he called a lawyer anonymously, outlining the abuse. Possible, but need proof. Blood work helps. As the sun set, Elena joined him outside. You're brave for facing this. He took her hand tentatively, because of you. The confession hurt, but it freed something. In that moment, trust deepened. The painful truth had bridged their worlds, setting the stage for healing, not just his body, but his soul. Yet shadows lingered. Reporting Isabel meant confrontation. Little did he know that choice would unearth more than justice. It would test their budding bond in fires he never foresaw. For now, in the clinic's quiet, hope took root. Morning sunlight filtered through the clinic windows as Alexander Voss emerged from the recovery room, the weight of his confession lingering like a fading storm. Elena Whitaker stood in the kitchenette, preparing breakfast with her usual efficiency. The blood sample vial sat sealed on the counter, a tangible step toward unraveling Isabel's poison. "Good morning," Elena said, sliding a plate of eggs and toast his way. "Lab results should come soon. In the meantime, let's not wait idly. Healing starts today." Alexander nodded, his appetite returning after years of indifference. "What do you suggest?" She smiled faintly. "Medicine for the body, purpose for the mind. Behind the clinic is an overgrown patch, my neglected garden. We'll clear it together. It's therapeutic, physical work to detox, mental focus to rebuild. Gardens teach patience. Growth doesn't happen overnight." They stepped outside after breakfast, the air fresh with earth and possibility. The plot was a tangle of weeds choking what might have been flower beds and tools rusted against the fence. Alexander grabbed a shovel, muscles protesting at first from disuse. Elena handed him gloves. "We'll start by clearing the old growth. Can't plant new life until you remove what's suffocating the soil." As they dug, sweat beading on their brows, conversation flowed. Elena explained the treatment plan in detail, including chelation with EDTA and ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. An IV infusion binds to heavy metals like lead in your bloodstream, allowing your kidneys to excrete them. Sessions twice a week, starting slow to monitor side effects, possible fatigue, headaches, but nothing unmanageable. We'll track your progress with blood tests every 2 weeks. Lead levels dropping, testosterone rebounding. Alexander paused, leaning on his shovel. How long? Realistically, 6 months for significant detox, up to 12 for full hormonal recovery. Supplements to support. Zinc for testosterone synthesis. Vitamin C as an antioxidant to combat oxidative stress from the lead. Exercise like this helps too. Boosts circulation and aids elimination. He absorbed the science, grateful for her clarity. No doctor had explained it this way before. And the intimacy issues? Will they resolve? Elena's tone remained professional. Lead disrupts the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, lowering luteinizing hormone and thus testosterone. As levels normalize, function returns. But trauma plays a role, psychological barriers. We'll address that with talk therapy if needed. You're not alone in this. Alexander felt exposed, yet supported. Isabel knew precisely what she was doing. Lead from industrial sources is easy to obtain discreetly. Her affair with Victor, it was all calculated. Elena straightened, wiping dirt from her hands. People like that thrive on control. But you're taking it back. Speaking of which, have you thought more about reporting her? He sighed. It's daunting. Evidence is circumstantial, my word against hers. But the blood work, it's proof of exposure. Timeline matches our marriage. Elena nodded. Police can investigate toxicology reports and perhaps trace sources. Justice isn't just revenge, it's closure. They worked through the morning, clearing a section for planting. Lan joined briefly, bringing water. This looks promising. In my village, gardens fed the soul as much as the body. Alexander appreciated her wisdom. By afternoon, the soil lay bare, ready for seeds. Elena selected packets, tomatoes for resilience, herbs for healing. As they planted, she opened up more. I fear love now, after Mark. The accident replayed in my dreams for years, twisted metal, sirens. I blamed myself, withdrew. Opening to you, it scares me. Alexander met her gaze. You? Scared? You're the strongest person I know. She laughed softly. Strength hides fear, but seeing you fight inspires me. We could heal each other. The words hung between them, charged with unspoken promise. Days blended into routine, morning infusions in the exam room, where Elena administered the EDTA drip, monitoring his vitals. Afternoons in the garden, planting rows, weeding as shoots emerged. Evenings, discussions over dinner, progress, fears, dreams. 2 weeks later, results showed lead levels dropping by 10%. Encouraging, Elena said. Hormones are edging up, too. Alexander felt subtle changes, more energy, clearer thoughts. But doubt crept in during quiet moments. What if it plateaus? Isabel's voice echoed, weak, broken. One evening, as they watered the garden, symptoms resurfaced, a fleeting numbness, anxiety spiking. Elena noticed his pallor. What's wrong? He confessed reluctantly, felt off today like before. Fear, it's not working. She set down the hose, concern etching her features. Possible fluctuation, detox can stir things up. Let's check hormones tomorrow. But remember, healing isn't linear. Setbacks happen. That night, sleep evaded him, panic rising. The garden outside mocked him, tiny sprouts pushing through while he faltered. Morning blood work confirmed, a dip in testosterone, likely from stress amplifying detox effects. Elena adjusted the plan. Increase zinc, add meditation sessions. We'll meditate here, in the garden. Close your eyes, breathe, focus on growth. They sat cross-legged amid the plants, her voice guiding him. Inhale possibility, exhale doubt. Alexander struggled at first, mind racing to Isabel's betrayals and the humiliation of the gala. But Elena's presence anchored him. You're stronger than this. See the sprouts? They bend, but don't break. Sessions deepened their bond. Elena shared more about Mark, his love for botany, and how they'd planned a garden together. This plot was his idea, before the accident. Finishing it honors him, and us. Alexander opened too. The empire he built, lost to isolation. I want to reclaim it, but fear exposure. She encouraged gently. Start small. Report anonymously first. A month later, another test showed that levels were stabilizing and symptoms were easing. In the garden, green shoots flourished, mirroring his progress. But a twist came during an infusion. Alexander felt a surge of fatigue, then clarity. Elena monitored closely. Side effect, but passing. As she adjusted the drip, their hands brushed, sparking electricity. He met her eyes. Thank you not just for the treatment, but for believing in me. She blushed slightly. It's mutual. You've brought life back here. The clinic, the garden, me. Tension built, unspoken attraction simmering. Evenings grew intimate. Shared meals, laughter over land stories. One twilight, as they admired blooming herbs, Alexander voiced his fear. What if I recover, but the trauma lingers? Intimacy. It's been years. Elena took his hand. We'll cross that when ready. No pressure. Healing the heart takes time. The garden thrived, vegetables sprouting, flowers budding. Alexander's body responded, muscles firming from labor, fog lifting. But a call from his lawyer added K-drama. We can build a case. Blood evidence is strong. Isabel might face charges, poisoning, fraud. Panic hit. She'll fight dirty. Elena reassured, you're not alone. We'll face it together. As weeks passed, the journey deepened. Setbacks tested resolve. A hormone dip triggering doubt. Elena's own grief surfacing during a storm reminiscent of her accident. They supported each other, and the garden was a sanctuary. By 3 months, the lead had halved, and testosterone was rising. Alexander felt stirrings, physical awareness returning. In a meditation session, he confessed, "It's working, but I'm scared of what comes next." Elena smiled. "That's progress. Fear means you care." The garden journey had transformed them, from strangers to partners in renewal. Yet the legal storm brewed, Isabel's shadow looming. Little did they know, confronting her would ignite a fire testing their bond, leading to revelations that could shatter or solidify their future. For now, amid growing life, hope took firm root. Storm clouds gathered ominously over the countryside as Alexander Voss stood in the garden, the air thick with impending rain. Weeks of chelation therapy had passed, the EDTA infusions steadily pulling the lead from his system, his blood tests showing steady progress. Hormone levels climbed, energy returned, but emotional barriers remained. The garden flourished around him, tomatoes ripening, herbs thriving, a living testament to renewal. Yet inside, doubt swirled like the darkening sky. Elena Whitaker called from the back door, "Alexander, get inside before it hits." He turned, seeing her framed in the warm light, her presence a constant anchor through his healing. Something twisted in his chest, not pain, but profound recognition. He loved her, not out of gratitude for the treatments, but for her essence. The way she hummed while working, her unwavering compassion, and how she saw beauty in broken things. Rain began to fall, first in fat drops, then a deluge. Alexander dashed for the door, Elena pulling him in with laughter as water streamed from his clothes. "You're impossible," she teased, grabbing towels, "constantly caught in storms." He accepted one, drying his face, but his eyes locked on hers. "I was thinking, about us, everything you've done, giving me back my life." The power flickered, then died, plunging the clinic into darkness. "Generator's finicky," Elena sighed. "I'll fix it tomorrow." "Candles?" Alexander suggested. She nodded, lighting several, their flames casting dancing shadows. The space felt intimate, charged. "Hungry?" "Soup and bread, nothing fancy." They ate at the table where confessions had unfolded, the storm raging outside like his inner turmoil. "Tests show you're progressing well," Elena said between bites. "Lead down 30%, testosterone rebounding, full recovery in sight." Alexander set down his spoon. "That's because of you, but it's more. I love you, Elena. Not just for healing me. Thank you for your terrible puns, for how you talk to plants, and for your kindness to everyone. You've given me hope, purpose." Tears welled in his eyes. "But I'm terrified. What if I'm confusing gratitude? What if I disappoint you?" Elena's breath caught. She stood, rounding the table to kneel beside him. "Alexander Voss, I've waited for those words. I fell for you that first night, soaked, broken, yet polite. But I held back until you were healing to ensure it was real. I love you too, your resilience, gentleness, and how you help patients now. The man you were, the one you survived as, the one emerging, all of you." Alexander pulled her up, their faces inches apart. "Really?" "Completely." She kissed his forehead, sending sparks through him. "We figure this out together, slowly." He framed her face. "Can I kiss you?" "Thought you'd never ask." Their lips met, tentative at first, a brush of softness, then, deeper, years of loneliness pour out. Alexander's hands tangled in her hair. She pressed closer, solid and real. The kiss ignited something dormant, his body responding with unfamiliar warmth. When they parted, breathing ragged, Elena took his hand. "Come with me." She led him to her private quarters, a cozy space with bookshelves and a bed draped in soft blankets. Candles flickered on the dresser, the storm's roar distant now. "Are you sure?" Alexander asked, voice trembling. "If we, and I can't, then we stop. Hold each other. This is a connection, not a performance. Whatever happens, it's us." She kissed him again, deeper, fears melting. They undressed slowly, reverently, exploring scars, both physical and emotional.
Elena traced the tension in his shoulders from years of shame. Alexander kissed the hollow of her throat, where grief from Mark's loss lingered. "You're beautiful," he whispered, meaning every layer. "So are you, perfectly you." They came together gently, Alexander's body remembering, responding, not flawlessly, but honestly. Sensation returned, not just mechanical, but emotional. Waves of connection washing away isolation. Elena guided him with whispers. "I've got you, no rush." He moved with her, finding rhythm like the garden's growth, steady, building. Tears fell as release came, not triumph over impotence, but over fear. Buried in her neck, he wept gratitude, joy, love. Afterward, they lay entangled, skin warm, hearts synced. The storm softened to a patter. Candlelight steadied. "Thank you," Alexander murmured, kissing her shoulder, "for believing in me." Elena pulled him closer. "You did the work, choosing to heal, trust, and love again. We saved each other." They talked through the night, storm cocooning them. Elena shared more about Mark, the accident's details, the drunk driver's trial she attended alone. "I shut down after. Feared attachment. You changed that." Alexander confessed to legal fears. Isabel, reporting her means, reliving it all. "But with you, I can." Elena nodded. "We'll contact the authorities together. Your blood evidence is strong. Chronic lead matches your marriage timeline." She can't deny it. Dawn crept in, light filtering through the curtains. Elena propped on an elbow, studying him. "Marry me? Someday. But first, complete healing. Legal closure." He smiled. "Yes, to all of it." They rose as the clinic stirred, Lon arriving with knowing glances. "Storm past?" she asked. Elena blushed in more ways than one. Days followed with renewed purpose. Chelation continued, infusions smoother now. Garden work intensified, and produce was harvested for meals. But the kiss lingered, a turning point. Intimacy grew tentative but real, Alexander's confidence building with each encounter. Setbacks came, a hormone fluctuation causing doubt, but Elena reassured, normal in recovery. Stress impacts, meditate more. Legal steps began. Anonymous tip to police, sharing blood reports. Investigators contacted him discreetly. Case viable, attempted poisoning, fraud. Isabel is under scrutiny. Fear spiked when a letter arrived. Her scrawled demand for silence, threats of countersuits. Alexander showed Elena. She's desperate. Victor left her broke. Together they met a detective, evidence mounting. The process drained him, flashbacks to Isabel's cruelty, the laced coffee, the gala betrayal. But Elena's support anchored. One evening, post-infusion, fatigue hit hard. "Side effect," she said. "Rest." As he lay down, she joined, holding him. No expectations, just us. The garden yielded its first complete harvest, vegetables symbolizing progress. Over a meal from their plot, Lon joined. "You two glow." "Love suits you." Alexander laughed. "It does." But shadows loomed, the investigation heating up. Isabel's arrest neared, promising confrontation. Yet in Elena's arms, fear lessened. The first kiss had ignited not just passion, but partnership. As lead leached from his veins, so did toxicity from his soul. Full recovery beckoned, but so did trials, legal battles, emotional depths. Little did they know, Isabel's desperation would soon erupt, testing their bond in unforeseen ways. For now, in quiet moments, love bloomed unchecked. Weeks melted into a golden haze following that transformative night, the first kiss evolving into a deep, abiding connection between Alexander Voss and Elena Whitaker. The clinic hummed with renewed energy, the garden yielding bountiful harvests they shared over intimate dinners. Chelation therapy progressed steadily, Alexander's lead levels dropping further with each infusion, his hormone panels showing consistent improvement. Physical intimacy became a natural extension of their bond, tentative at first, but growing in confidence as his body continued to heal. Yet beneath the joy, subtle changes in Elena stirred unspoken questions. It started small, a fleeting morning nausea, dismissed as stress from long clinic hours. Alexander noticed her pausing during patient exams, her hand pressing to her stomach, and her face momentarily distant. She checked her own pulse more often, frowning before resuming work.
He held back from prying, giving her space, but concern gnawed at him. Then came the morning she bolted to the bathroom, retching violently. Alexander followed, holding her hair back, rubbing her spine. "Must be a bug," she murmured weakly. "Or something I ate." He helped her to bed, insisting she rest. "I'll handle the patients today. Lon can assist." Elena protested faintly. "I have appointments." But her pallor convinced her otherwise. For days, the pattern repeated. Morning sickness, fatigue, dry toast, and ginger tea her only sustenance. Alexander watched helplessly, his protective instincts sharpening. "This isn't just a bug. You should test yourself." Elena met his eyes, a mix of fear and wonder in hers. "I know. I've been denying it, but—" She pulled a small box from her drawer, a pregnancy test. Alexander's breath caught. "You think?" "Let's find out." In the bathroom, she emerged minutes later, stick in hand, 2 pink lines stark against the white. "Positive. I'm pregnant." The world tilted. Alexander steadied himself against the wall. Pregnant. A child. Their child. Joy surged, mingled with terror. Elena's face mirrored his, tears streaming as she laughed shakily. "This is surreal. After Mark, I thought motherhood wasn't in my cards, and now, with you." He pulled her into his arms, both crying and laughing. "We'll be parents, but we need confirmation, ultrasound." In the exam room, Elena set up the machine with trembling hands. Lon assisting discreetly, her eyes wide with excitement. "I've done this for hundreds, but never for myself." Gel was applied, the transducer gliding over her abdomen, and the screen flickered to life. Static cleared to reveal a small shape, pulsing with a tiny heartbeat. "There," Elena whispered, "our baby." Alexander squeezed her hand, awe overwhelming him. "That's us." But Elena adjusted the angle, brow furrowing. "Hold on." She moved deliberately, checking views. "Oh, Alexander, there are 2. 2 distinct sacs, 2 heartbeats. Twins?" But her voice quieted further. "Wait, one more adjustment. 3. 3 sacs, 3 heartbeats. Triplets." The room spun. Alexander gripped the table. "3?" Elena stared at the screen, professional mask cracking into wonder. "Yes. Triplets. All viable, strong signals. But multiples carry risks. Higher chance of preeclampsia, preterm labor, and gestational diabetes. I'll need specialist care." Dr. Aisha Thompson, an obstetrician I trust, specializes in high-risk pregnancies. Shock gave way to elation. Alexander kissed her forehead. 3 miracles, but you're right, risks. We'll monitor everything. Lon hugged them both. "Congratulations. In my family, multiples are blessings. But rest now, doctor." The news spread through the clinic like wildfire. Patients offering well wishes. Mrs. Hargrove knitting tiny booties already. The community rallied. Meals delivered, offers to cover shifts. Elena's body changed rapidly. By week 8, her belly swelled noticeably, fatigue deepening. Alexander took over more, cooking, cleaning, and even basic patient intakes under Lon's guidance. In the mornings, he brought her tea to bed. "You need strength for 3. She smiled wearily. "They're active already, little flutters. But the swelling, my ankles ache." He massaged her feet gently. "Whatever you need." Dr. Aisha Thompson arrived for a consult, her warm demeanor easing tensions. Aisha, of African descent, brought expertise from years of handling multiples. Ultrasound confirms fraternal triplets, 3 sacs, 3 placentas, lower risk than identical. But monitor blood pressure, multiples strain the system. Weekly checks, nutrition key, high protein, folate. Alexander took notes furiously. Any restrictions? Bed rest if issues arise, but light activity now, no heavy lifting. Nights brought intimacy laced with caution. Alexander held her close. "Is this safe?" Elena nodded. "Yes, but gentle." Their connection deepened, love a buffer against fears. Yet conflicts emerged. Elena's independence clashed with his protectiveness. One evening, she snapped after he insisted she nap. "I'm a doctor. I know my limits." He backed off, hurt. "Sorry, after everything, losing you terrifies me." She softened, hugging him. I know, we're in this together. Legal threads intertwined. The investigation into Isabel heated up. Detectives discreetly reported traces of lead purchases linked to her, and alibis crumbled. Arrest imminent. Alexander shared with Elena over garden dinners. She'll face charges, poisoning, embezzlement. But a trial means publicity. Elena squeezed his hand. We'll handle it. Focus on us now. By 12 weeks, risks materialized. Elena's blood pressure edged up and swelling worsened. Aisha was prescribed monitoring and light medications. Rest more. Alexander enforced it. Lon stepping up. Community helped. Neighbors babysat the clinic metaphorically, bringing casseroles infused with cultural flavors. Lon's Vietnamese pho, Aisha's spiced stews. Names emerged organically. Lucas for strength, Noah for peace, Oliver for growth. Over ultrasounds, they watched the boys, scans confirmed genders, wriggle. Alexander talked to her belly nightly. Hey Lucas, you're the feisty one. Noah, keep calm in there. Oliver, grow strong. Elena laughed. They hear you. Feels real now. Yet fears peaked during a scare. Sharp pains rushed them to Aisha. Braxton Hicks, false labor, but warning, slow down, bed rest, partial. Alexander's anxiety spiked. Flashbacks to Isabel's betrayal fueling overprotectiveness. They argued. You're smothering me, he apologized. I lost everything once. Can't lose you, she held him. You won't, we're stronger. The miracle unfolded amid trials. Elena's glow despite discomfort. Alexander's healing accelerating. Lead nearly gone, full function restored. Intimacy adapted. Emotional bonds tightening. Dinner one night, Lon joined. Triplets are joy multiplied. But prepare, sleepless nights ahead. Alexander grinned. Bring it. With Elena, I'm ready. As her belly grew, so did their resolve. The pregnancy, a testament to rebirth, wove their lives tighter. But Isabel's shadow loomed. Arrest news broke discreetly, her pleas for mercy arriving via a lawyer. Ignore, Elena advised. Focus on our family. In quiet moments, Alexander marveled. From poisoned isolation to this, life burgeoning. The miracle wasn't just the triplets, but their love defying odds. Yet challenges awaited. Birth risks, legal battles. Little did they know, Isabel's desperation would soon force a confrontation, testing their unity. For now, in the garden's embrace, 3 heartbeats promised a bright future with possibilities. Alexander Voss attacked the nursery renovation with the fervor of a man reclaiming his future. The small storage room adjacent to Elena's quarters overflowed with dusty boxes of old files and broken equipment. But he envisioned it as a haven for their triplets. 3 cribs, changing stations, soft blue walls for the boys, Lucas, Noah, and Oliver. He painted meticulously, measuring every inch, his hands steady from months of garden work and therapy. The chelation had nearly cleared the lead from his system. His latest tests showing normal testosterone levels, full recovery a reality. But now, the focus has shifted to the family. Elena, her belly swollen dramatically by the second trimester, watched from the doorway, one hand supporting her back. She said, "You don't have to do it all at once," waddling over despite the ache in her ankles. Triplets mean triple everything, but perfection isn't required. Alexander looked up, paintbrush in hand. They deserve the best. Safe, bright, and everything I can provide. She understood the deeper drive. He proved he could nurture, protect, after years of feeling inadequate. The pregnancy taxed her. Constant fatigue, swelling, and back pain from carrying 3. Aisha Thompson's weekly checks monitored risks. Blood pressure was stable but watched closely. There were no signs of preeclampsia yet. Rest, Aisha advised during her last visit. Light duties only. Alexander enforced it, taking over clinic admin, and Lon stepped up for nursing tasks. The community pitched in. Patients brought baby clothes, hand-me-downs washed and folded. Mrs. Hargrove delivered knitted blankets in soft pastels. For the boys, she said with a wink. Please don't ask how I know. Intuition. Lan Nguyen became invaluable, sharing cultural wisdom from her Vietnamese roots. Over tea one afternoon, as Elena rested, Lan taught Alexander infant care tips. In my family, We use ginger compresses for swelling. Boil fresh root and wrap it in cloth. It helps circulation. And for colic, gentle tummy massages clockwise. She demonstrated on a pillow that her hands were expert. Alexander noted it all. Thank you. We're new to this. Lan smiled. Every culture has remedies. Blending them makes strong families. Preparation consumed him. Assembling cribs, stocking diapers, and reading parenting books voraciously. Nights, he attended Aisha's classes virtually, learning CPR and feeding schedules. Most fathers skim this, Aisha noted. You're thorough. These are my sons. I need to know everything. Elena appreciated it, but chafed at restrictions. One morning, as he insisted she skip a routine checkup to nap, tension boiled over. I'm the doctor here. I can handle my own body. Alexander recoiled. I'm just worried, Aisha said. She cut him off. You're hovering. I feel trapped, like I can't breathe. The argument escalated, voices rising in the living room. Alexander's fears surfaced. After Isabel, losing control terrifies me. What if something happens? Elena's eyes flashed. And what about my worries? Carrying 3, the strain, it's my body. But you're smothering me with your past trauma. They stood apart, breathing hard, the clinic silent save for Lan's discreet retreat to the garden. Regret hit Alexander instantly. I'm sorry. You're right. I project my fears. Isabel broke me, but you're not her. Elena softened, tears welling. I know, exhaustion makes me snap. Come here. They embraced, her belly between them, the babies kicking as if sensing discord. We need balance, she whispered. You care for me, I care for us. Let's communicate better. He nodded, kissing her forehead. Deal. From then on, they compromised. Elena handled light consults. Alexander managed the rest. Legal updates interspersed the days. Detectives confirmed Isabel's lead sources, purchased online under aliases, tied to her. Arrest warrant issued. She went underground, but a letter arrived via lawyer. Desperate pleas. I didn't mean harm. It was a mistake. Let's settle privately. Alexander showed Elena. Manipulation. She's cornered. Elena agreed. Ignore. Focus on us. Preparation intensified as the 3rd trimester neared. Elena's mobility waned. Alexander helped her dress and bathe, his touch tender. Roles reversed. He is the caretaker now. I feel useless, she admitted one evening, struggling with shoes. You're creating life. 3 lives. That's power. He knelt, slipping on slippers, massaging her feet. You saved me. Now you're building our family. Community support swelled. Lan organized a baby shower, simple but heartfelt. Gifts piled, clothes, toys, advice. Aisha attended, checking Elena. All good, but watch for contractions. Preterm risk with multiples. That night, as they sorted presents, Elena winced. Pains? Braxton Hicks, she said, but rest. Kiet's strength tested them. Sleepless nights from her discomfort. Alexander's worry amplifying. Another spat erupted over dinner prep. He burned the meal, frustrated. Why push yourself, she shot back, because normalcy matters. But they reconciled quickly, laughter diffusing tension. Sorry, hormones, he grinned. Blame the boys. Names solidified. Lucas, the active one, kicking fiercely. Noah, calmer. Oliver, somewhere in between. Alexander read to her belly from children's books, voices animated. Lon shared lullabies from her homeland, which were melodic and soothing. Sing them after birth, calms spirits. As the due date approached, the nursery was complete. Walls adorned with mobiles, shelves stocked. Alexander stood there often, imagining cries filling the space. Elena joined one night. It's perfect, like us. He held her. Ready? Terrified, but yes. But a cliffhanger loomed. A knock at the door during dinner. A process server with summons. Isabel demanding a meeting, claiming innocence, threatening media exposure if ignored. Alexander's face paled. She's back. Elena took the paper. We face her together. No more running. The days of preparation had forged their resilience, but Isabel's return promised a storm. Yet with triplets imminent, their family bond armored them. Alexander kissed Elena. Whatever comes, we win. She nodded. Our miracle awaits. 3 lives grew in that room of hope, oblivious to the gathering clouds. The final weeks of Elena Whitaker's pregnancy blurred into a haze of anticipation and anxiety for Alexander Voss. Her belly, enormous with the triplets, made every movement challenging. Her body strained under the weight of 3 growing lives. Blood pressure checks became daily rituals. Aisha Thompson monitoring closely for signs of complications common in multiple pregnancies: preeclampsia, gestational diabetes. So far, Aisha reported that it is stable during her latest visit, but preterm labor is a risk. Stay vigilant. Alexander transformed into her steadfast guardian, helping her navigate the clinic's halls, preparing nutrient-rich meals high in protein and folate as prescribed. Lan Win assisted seamlessly, brewing herbal teas from her cultural repertoire to ease swelling and nausea. Lan explained that ginger and lemongrass calm the stomach and soothe the spirit. The community continued their support, dropping off freezer meals and offering prayers. But the burden fell heaviest on Alexander. Nights were restless. Elena tossed from discomfort, the baby's kicks a constant reminder of the miracle within. One dawn, Elena woke with a gasp, hand clutching her side. Alexander bolted upright. "What is it?" "Contractions," she said through gritted teeth. "Sharp, regular. It's time, too early." Panic surged, but he moved purposefully, helping her dress, grabbing the pre-packed hospital bag. The drive to the regional hospital felt eternal, rain slicking the roads as if echoing the storm of their first meeting. Elena breathed deeply, timing the waves. "They're coming strong, hold on." At the hospital, chaos enveloped them, nurses rushing, Aisha arriving breathless to oversee. Ultrasound first, triplets are active, but Elena's blood pressure spikes. "Preeclampsia is edging in," Aisha confirmed. "We induce now to avoid seizures or worse." 4 lines inserted, medications administered to accelerate labor while stabilizing her. Alexander stayed by her side, holding her hand as contractions intensified, her grip crushing his fingers. "You're strong," he whispered, "so brave, I love you." Labor dragged on for hours of agony. Elena pushed through exhaustion, sweat beading her brow. The room filled with monitors, beeping, staff encouraging. "First baby crowned, Lucas," Aisha announced, his cry piercing and indignant as he entered the world. Placed on Elena's chest briefly, tiny and red, eyes squeezed shut. Alexander's tears fell unchecked. "Our son." Minutes later, Noah followed, his wail softer but insistent. Then the smallest Oliver arrived, the hardest as Elena's energy waned. Blood pressure dipped alarmingly, alarms blared. "Push, Elena, one more," Aisha urged. Oliver emerged with a final guttural effort, his cry weak but present. The room exhaled in relief. All boys are healthy despite prematurity. NICU for observation. Lung strong but weight is low. Alexander cut the cords, hands shaking, then followed the nurses wheeling the incubators. In the NICU, he gazed at his sons. Lucas, alert and squirming. Noah, peaceful. Oliver, content. "Miracles," he whispered, pressing his hand to the glass. Back with Elena, recovering in postpartum, he held her. "You did it." "They're perfect," she smiled wearily. "We did, but that was close." Recovery began. Elena monitored for postpartum preeclampsia, her pressure stabilizing with meds. The boys thrived in the NICU, gaining weight from the milk they had consumed. Alexander shuttled between, learning to change tiny diapers, hold fragile bodies. Lan visited and brought in clinic updates and homemade broth. "They'll be home soon. Rest." But trials extended beyond birth. Days later, a detective called Elena as she nursed Lucas in her room. "Isabel was arrested. Lead sourcing is confirmed, and your statements are key. Charges: attempted poisoning, fraud, trial pending." Relief washed over Alexander, but dread followed. "She'll fight, expose everything." Elena squeezed his hand. "Let her. Truth sets us free." Isabel's threats arrived via mail, scrawled letters from jail, pleading innocence, then venomous. "You'll regret this. The media will destroy your precious new life." Alexander showed Elena. Desperation. But dangerous. They alerted authorities. A restraining order was issued. Yet leaks began. Tabloids hinting at a billionaire's secret poisoning scandal. Whispers reached the town. Patience asking cautiously. Alexander faced Elena. I should confront her, end this. With Aisha's approval, Elena was discharged after a week, and the boy's lungs matured over the following days. The homecoming was joyous, it was nursery-ready, and the community welcomed it with balloons and meals. Lan helped settle them, demonstrating swaddling. Like this, snug but not tight. Alexander cradled Noah, marveling at his tiny features, our family. Nights tested them, triplets' cries overlapping, feedings every 2 hours. Alexander bottle-fed while Elena nursed, exhaustion mounting. One pre-dawn, all three wailing, they tag-teamed desperately. Elena, bleary-eyed, snapped, I can't do this. He held her as she cried. We can. Together. Mornings brought relief, the boys' smiles erasing fatigue. Legal storm peaked. Isabel's bail hearing. Alexander attended virtually, her face on screen, gaunt, defiant. She spotted him, eyes narrowing. Traitor, she hissed, before being muted. Bail denied, flight risk. Relief, but the media exploded. Headlines blaring, Billionaire's ex-wife charged with poisoning. Reporters camped outside the clinic. Alexander shielded Elena and the boys. Patients remained loyal, Mrs. Hargrove scolding paparazzi. Leave them be, but stress triggered Elena's postpartum anxiety. What if they target the babies? Alexander reassured. Security's here, we'll weather it. Aisha checked the boys weekly, gaining steadily, milestones hit. Lucas rolled first, Noah babbled, Oliver grasped fingers. Amid chaos, joy bloomed. First family photo in the garden, plants thriving like their love. Confrontation came unexpectedly. Isabel's lawyer requested mediation. Alexander agreed, meeting in a neutral office, Elena by video for support. Isabel entered, shackled, venom in her gaze. You ruined me. He stayed calm. You poisoned me, lead, destroying my manhood, my life. For what? Money? Her? With Victor? She sneered. You were weak, deserved it. But tears cracked her facade. Victor left me broke. I didn't mean permanent. Alexander felt pity, not rage. Why? Greed, jealousy. You had everything. He sighed. I forgive you for my peace, but justice proceeds. She raged, but he left unshaken. Outside, the media swarmed, but he stated, healing comes from truth. Now the family awaits. Home, Elena embraced him. Proud of you. The boys cooed, oblivious. Trials forged them stronger, birth's perils overcome, Isabel's threats neutralized as trial loomed. Chelation complete, Alexander fully healed. In quiet moments, he marveled at resilience. From ashes, life bloomed. Yet more awaited, trial testimonies, community scrutiny. But with Elena and his sons, he faced it undaunted. The birth had delivered not just children, but unbreakable unity. In the nursery's soft light, 3 heartbeats synced with theirs, promising tomorrow's triumphs. The first weeks home with the triplets transformed the clinic into a whirlwind of tiny demands and profound joys for Alexander Voss and Elena Whitaker. Lucas, Noah, and Oliver, each with emerging personalities, dictated their lives like miniature tyrants. Lucas, the eldest by minutes, was alert and fussy, his cries sharp and insistent. Noah, the middle one, remained calmer, content with gentle rocking. Oliver, the smallest, slept peacefully, but woke ravenously. The nursery, once a symbol of preparation, now echoed with overlapping wails, the air thick with the scent of baby powder and milk. Nights blurred into endless cycles, feedings at midnight, diaper changes at 2, soothing at 4. Alexander stumbled from bed at Lucas's first cry, warming bottles one-handed while Elena nursed Noah. Oliver often joined the chorus, turning quiet hours into chaos. Exhaustion etched lines on their faces, but magic moments pierced through. Like Lucas's first gummy smile, Noah grasping Alexander's finger, Oliver cooing softly. Lan Nguyen became their lifeline, visiting daily with meals and wisdom. In Vietnam, we say children bring luck, but also test patience. Try skin-to-skin contact, it bonds and calms. Alexander followed her advice, holding the boys against his chest, feeling their heartbeats sync with his. The community rallied. Mrs. Hargrove babysat briefly, allowing quick showers. Aisha Thompson checked the babies weekly, confirming steady weight gain and development. All thriving, she said. Preemies are catching up fast. But fatigue bred friction. One sleepless night, as all three cried in unison, Elena snapped while pacing with Oliver. "I can't think straight." Alexander, bottle-feeding Lucas, responded sharply. "Neither can I, but we have to." The argument escalated, voices rising over the din. "You're always hovering. Let me handle one," she retorted. "And you push through exhaustion like it's nothing." Hurt flashed in her eyes. Postpartum hormones amplified everything. She burst into tears. "I'm failing them." Alexander set Lucas down gently, pulling her into a hug. "No, we're learning. Sorry, I project my fears. Isabel made me doubt myself." Elena leaned into him. "And I fear repeating Mark's loss, but we're a team." They rocked the babies together, the storm passing as cries tapered. Mornings brought apologies over coffee, their bond strengthening through vulnerability. Daily life settled into a rhythm. Mornings with playtime, afternoons napping in sync when possible. Alexander managed clinic paperwork, and Elena consulted lightly from home. Patients understood, sharing stories. "Triplets? Bless your hearts, mine were twins, and that was war." Laughter lightened loads, but Isabel's shadow darkened the horizon. The trial loomed, pre-trial hearings revealing damning evidence. Isabel's online purchases of lead compounds, emails with Victor plotting asset grabs. Detectives uncovered more, forged documents siphoning Alexander's fortune. She faced poisoning, fraud, and embezzlement charges. Bail denied, she stewed in custody, but her lawyer pushed for a settlement. Then, unexpectedly, Isabel requested a jail visit. Alexander debated with Elena over dinner, the boys gurgling in high chairs. "Why go?" Elena asked. "Closure," he replied, "to end this chapter." Alexander entered the visitation room, accompanied by his lawyer, Isabel, across the glass, gaunt, defiant, orange jumpsuit stark. "You," she spat, "ruined everything." Alexander stayed calm. "You poisoned me, lead, destroying my health, dignity, for money?" With Victor, she leaned forward, eyes blazing. "You had it all, fortune, power. I deserved a share." Victor promised more, but he bailed when things heated up. "It wasn't meant to be permanent. Weaken you for divorce leverage." Pity stirred in Alexander. "Leverage? You nearly killed me inside. Impotence, isolation, a decade lost." Isabel's facade cracked, tears falling. "I was desperate. Abused as a kid, saw wealth as an escape. Regret it now." He absorbed her words. Why confess? Hoping for leniency? She shrugged. "Maybe. Or truth sets free." Alexander felt unexpected compassion. "I forgive you, not for you, for me, my family." "But the law decides." Isabel's eyes widened. "Family? Tabloids mentioned. Kids." He nodded. "Triplets, sons. Happiness you can't touch." She slumped. "Good for you. Tell them. Beware poison in people." Leaving, Alexander felt lighter, chains breaking. Media swarmed outside, but he stated firmly, "Forgiveness heals, justice prevails." Home, Elena embraced him. "Brave. How was it?" "Cathartic. She's broken too, but we're free." The trial unfolded swiftly, evidence overwhelming, Isabel pleading guilty to reduced charges. Sentenced to 10 years, assets seized, Alexander reclaiming half his fortune through restitution. Victory felt bittersweet. He donated portions to abuse victims' funds. Tabloids shifted, from scandal to redemption story. Billionaire rises from poison, finds love and family. Family life evolved, boys hitting milestones, rolling, babbling. Conflicts arose from exhaustion, a spat over chores, Elena feeling overwhelmed postpartum. "I miss work," he validated. "Soon, we balance." Lan mediated with tea sessions, talk openly, like roots sharing soil. As the boys slept one evening, Isabel's final letter arrived, an apology from prison. Regret everything. Use wealth wisely. Alexander burned it symbolically in the garden. Past ashes fertilize future. Elena nodded. Our soil's rich now. Trials forged unbreakable resilience. Birth perils, legal battles overcome. Alexander, fully healed, embraced fatherhood, teaching boys early, like garden tending.
Elena returned to light duties, and their partnership was equal. In the nursery, quiet, holding Oliver, Alexander marveled. From death's edge to this. Elena joined, kissing him. We built it. Yet, closure twisted, anonymous tip. Isabel attempted suicide in prison, survived but changed. Alexander sent a note. Heal, forgive yourself. The depth of mercy surprised him. Life moved forward, boys' first laughs echoing, community celebrating, conflicts resolved quicker, love deepening. In garden twilight the family gathered, boys in carriers, Elena leaning on him. Trials tested, but we endured. He smiled, stronger for it. 3 tiny hands grasped theirs, symbols of triumph. The conflict chapter closed, paving the way for peace. The garden burst into vibrant life under the afternoon sun, roses blooming in red, white, and pink cascades. The very ones Alexander Voss and Elena Whitaker had planted together during his healing journey. Simple white chairs formed an intimate semicircle around a makeshift arbor draped in vines. No lavish decorations needed. Nature provided the splendor, a fitting backdrop for their wedding. The air hummed with quiet excitement, the scent of fresh earth mingling with laughter from gathered friends. Elena stood in her quarters, adjusting the flowing white dress that gracefully hugged her post-triplet figure. Nothing extravagant, just elegant and true to her. Lan Nguyen entered, holding a small bouquet of white roses. From Alexander, she said with a warm smile, he wanted to ensure this one finds the right hands. Elena took it, tears pricking her eyes. Some gestures transcended words, echoing their misplaced rose moment with perfect symmetry. In the nursery, Alexander wrestled tiny suits onto the boys, Lucas squirming energetically, Noah calmly compliant, Oliver peacefully oblivious. There, he murmured, straightening Oliver's collar. You 3 look dashing. Almost as handsome as your dad. Lucas immediately tugged at his, but Alexander laughed, the sound free of old shadows. The triplets, now several months old, had woven joy into every corner of their lives, their giggles a balm after trials. The ceremony was intimate, attended by those who mattered. Lon, with her quiet wisdom, Aisha Thompson offering medical reassurance even on her day off, Mrs. Hargrove beaming like a proud grandmother, and clinic patients turned friends. Alexander stood at the arbor, holding Noah, while volunteers cradled Lucas and Oliver in the front row. Then Elena appeared, walking the garden path they had cleared together, radiant with unadorned joy. The officiant, a kind town elder, began. Vows came from the heart, unscripted and raw. Alexander spoke first, voice steady. Elena, you pulled me from darkness when I was lost to poison and despair. You didn't just heal my body with science and care, you revived my soul with love. Through chelation drips and garden soil, you taught me resilience. Now, with our sons, you've given me a family I never dreamed possible. I promise to stand by you, laugh with you, face every storm together for eternity. Elena's turn, her eyes shining. Alexander, that storm brought you to my door, and I thought I was saving a stranger. But you saved me too. From isolation after Mark, from fearing love's risks, your courage in confronting Isabel and reclaiming your life inspired me. You're the partner I needed, the father our boys deserve. I vow to grow with you, heal with you, build dreams in this garden and beyond. They exchanged simple gold bands, symbols of unbroken circles. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Alexander handed Noah to Lon, framing Elena's face. I love you. Eternally. Their kiss was soft, yet profound, sealing promises amid applause. The boys made contented sounds, as if approving. A small reception followed. Homemade cakes from neighbors, toasts from Lon and Aisha. Lon raised her glass.
In my culture, unions like yours bless generations, health, and harmony. Aisha added, from high-risk births to this, miracles happen. Mrs. Hargrove winked. And remember, keep your eyes open this time. Laughter rippled, the misplaced rose a cherished tale. As guests departed, Alexander and Elena lingered in the garden with the boys, sunset painting the sky in hues of gold. The media had quieted after the trial. Isabel was convicted, serving time, and her threats were empty. Alexander's reclaimed fortune funded a new venture, a foundation for poisoning victims, offering chelation access, legal aid, and psychological support. Turning my pain into purpose, he told Elena. She nodded. Our story inspires. We've spoken at events. Your recovery, our family, it helps others. Night fell, stars emerging like scattered diamonds. The boys dozed in portable cribs nearby. Alexander pulled Elena close. Remember our first kiss in the storm? This feels like it's an echo, calm after chaos. She rested her head on his shoulder. We've endured so much, your poisoning, my grief, the birth scares, Isabel's trials, but look at us. He gazed at the stars. I was a ghost, poisoned body and soul. You gave science, EDTA binding lead, hormones rebounding, but more, love. Forgiving Isabel, it freed me completely, Elena smiled. And birthing our boys, Lucas's energy, Noah's peace, Oliver's gentleness, they're our living proof. No more conflicts from exhaustion. We communicate and balance. Alexander knelt suddenly, though already married. Elena Whitaker Voss, every day with you is eternal. She laughed, pulling him up. And with you, infinite. Their lips met under the stars, a deep, timeless kiss weaving past pains into present bliss. The boys stirred softly, tiny hands reaching in sleep. In that eternal moment, Alexander understood. Home wasn't wealth or walls, but this. Love transcending trials, family forged from ashes. The garden whispered around them, blooms nodding in the breeze, a cycle complete. From betrayal's venom to love's antidote, their journey ended not in closure, but in an endless beginning. Under infinite stars, with suns dreaming nearby, they embraced forever's promise.